Hi everyone, welcome to All About You. We are really happy to have you here with us today as we are going to explore one more subject to help you, to bless you a lot, I'm sure. Because today we are going to talk about our spiritual deserts. If you have been through a spiritual desert before, you know really well what I'm talking about and you know the lessons that you've taken from them. Maybe you are listening to me now and just to think about these deserts that you've been through in your life, you don't even want to go there. You don't want to even think about it. You don't have good memories. And they didn't help you at all. You know that the deserts that we go in life, they have a purpose to turn people into a reference. But some people have become through the deserts a very good, powerful reference to others, whilst others have become a very bad one. So in order to make the most of our deserts that I believe most of us will go through, we have here our friends. How are you today, ladies?
Very good, thank you.
So first of all, we're going to help those who are listening to us to understand what a desert means, what a spiritual desert means. Some of them, they have no idea, or maybe they haven't been through a desert yet. So what does it mean to go through a spiritual desert?
I believe the first thing we need to understand is that the desert is not a pleasant place. It's not a place that you are happy, you are fine. No, it's a place that you feel that you are in a battlefield. You are going against all your feelings, all your emotions, because the devil will try to use this against you. So that desert will not turn you into a reference, but will happen the opposite. You will be more frustrated and unhappy. So I believe it's important for us to understand, no, okay, I'm in a spiritual desert right now, so I have to go against my feelings and my emotions, right?
Yeah, it's true, because it's you going against your feelings and how you feel, because it's not pleasant. It's actually painful. It's a painful moment. And through that desert, you actually get to see who you are. You get to see your faith, how strong you really believe in God, how much you depend on God. But also you get to see what is really on the inside. And that's the painful moment, of going through the desert, because we want everything to be good. We want our journey with God to be good, a bed of roses, everything is fine, everything is moving forward. But when we find ourselves in the spiritual desert, that's when the panic mode, starts. Like, oh my gosh, what is going on? Why am I going through this? Why is happening? What is happening? Why is God allowing this to happen? But nothing happens without God's consent. So if we find ourselves in the spiritual desert, it's because God has consented to that, for us to be there in that moment, to shape us, to take us to the next level. Because for us to reach the next level, there's certain things that we need to go through. So the spiritual desert is not pleasant at all. It could be a moment where you're being corrected, because we don't like to be corrected. Exactly. We want to think that we know and we're doing good. But when it's in that stage of being corrected, okay, you need to change the way you're speaking, you need to change your character, you need to do this more, you need to trust in God, because sometimes we like to trust on other people's faith. We lean on other people's faith. So that spiritual desert is like all the crutches taken away from us, all the things that we know, everything that we're used to, really taken away from us, and we find ourselves alone there. And I think that's why many people get scared, because now they are alone. They're going through that moment alone. But they're not alone, because God is there with them to lead them through it. So it's up to us to either die in the desert or see, okay, how can I come out of the situation? What does God want me to learn from this situation? What can I take from this desert?
That's right, Kim. And I was thinking here, both of you were agreeing on that. God allows us to go through those situations that are painful, that are hard, that we don't understand many times, because it could be in the shape of an injustice or persecution, even at home as well. People who are not from the same faith, and they come against you. There are, parents, there are family members who destroy the Bible, everything that the person has from the church, from their faith. Many don't want to allow them to come to church. They want to cause problems. Sometimes persecution from people outside, even in the workplace as well. People go through so many things, and they think to themselves, this is the battle inside of them, in their mind. Why is God allowing this to happen to me if I am faithful to Him? Yeah. If I'm doing my part? Why did God allow me to lose this? I was doing my best. I was giving my best. Why? Why did God allow that to happen to me? So in their mind, it becomes a huge fight, a huge battle. They don't understand. And because they don't understand, many of them, they start, instead of becoming better, instead of using their faith, they start using, as you said, the emotions. So emotions will make them do what? Instead of becoming someone stronger, learning from their mistakes, or getting closer to God, seeking God more, depending more on Him, asking Him to give them strength, guidance. What do people do? Like, for example, when they are rebuked, when, look, so and so, it can be in the workplace, it can be a spiritual leader helping, not necessarily rebuking in a rude way. Well, we never know how people act, right? There are people who unfortunately give a bad testimony, a bad example. But there, in that moment, how should they react? And how they would react to that situation will make a whole difference in how they will become later. So, for example, it happened to me once when I was, I did something wrong, and I was rebuked for that. I was working somewhere, and I made many mistakes, mistakes. But I was fighting to do what is right. I was fighting to be better. I was asking God to help me be better. But little did I know that in order for me to be better, I had to go through what I had to go through. Not simply, okay, become better. Change now. Sim, sim, salabim, ping. You are a new person. You're more mature now. Now you know how to handle this. It wasn't like that. It was through that moment. But when I was rebuked, instead of using my faith and, okay, I made this mistake, I'm going to work on it, what did I do? I couldn't look at the person, and those who rebuked me or pointed out my mistake. I couldn't look at them in the eye. I couldn't. Not because I saw them in a bad way with bad eyes, but I started feeling very ashamed. Very, very ashamed. I couldn't look at them in the eye. I was even, when you start avoiding people because you're so ashamed of what you've done. So that situation started changing me, and it started becoming a reference, a good reference of someone who learned from her mistakes, someone who is, strong, of faith, helping others. No, I was now a reference of insecurity. Yeah. So who wants to follow a reference of insecurity?
No one.
Who wants to follow a weak person? Nobody. But how many people start hiding themselves, isn't it? How many people start
through the desert, right?
It's like
you can go. No problem.
So it's like, they hide themselves now. So okay, I used to put myself forward, but every time I put myself forward, I get criticized or I get corrected. So they hide in the background. So I'm just gonna stay in my little corner, in my little space, and I'm okay here. So rather than seeing that desert as an opportunity, okay, I'm going to keep persevering, I'm going to keep offering myself, and, sooner or later, someone will take my ideas. For example, ideas as well. It happens to us. We give our ideas, but no one gives ears to it. So we can't just think, because someone is not accepting my ideas, or my manager is not accepting my ideas, or, I keep putting this project towards him or a spiritual leader, no one listens, so I'm just going to keep quiet. But it's for us to keep being persistent. So many people take it a different way. They hide in the shadow. So it's like no one knows if they're there or not there. They're not making any difference. Insecurities come in as well, like being a bad reference. They become really insecure about themselves. So it's like they think, okay, I'm not good enough. So it's like they turned that moment into a bad reference. So they become a bad reference. So that's an example of when taking the desert in the wrong way. You hide yourself, but God doesn't want us to hide ourselves. And when we usually say, God, mold me, change me, help me to be mature, help me to be responsible, use me, we need
He
to
will
be,
put you there in the middle of the desert.
Exactly. They think God is going to just change them just like that. No, but we need to pass through that. Like you mentioned, your experience, that moment, at first you took it in a bad way, but then you changed that around and God started working in you. So when we ask God to mold us, when we ask God to change us, we need to be ready for a situation to, break us down. Like if you're quite proud, there will be a situation to really humble you. You probably lose everything because, you think I'm the one that does everything. I'm the one that makes everything. No one can do anything without me. But then be ready.
Yes.
Those
prayers, my God, make me humble. My God, help me forgive.
Exactly.
Right?
So we're placing, in situations to lead us to be humble, to lead us to forgiving as well.
Even in the family, my God, transform my husband or transform my family members, and then they become worse.
Yeah.
But that's the moments when you allow God to use you to make a difference, to show the difference to them through your behavior, through your character, through your perseverance, through your patience, right? Overcoming evil with good, instead of talking to them and treating them in the same way, getting back to them in the same way. No, you're going to show God, and it's exactly in situations like that, in those deserts, that you become a reference even to your family members.
And how many people they take their deserts in a wrong way, like we mentioned, and they end up not become this reference to others. And then they end up as well contaminating others, like you mentioned, and Kim. They start hide themselves, they don't give opinions, they don't give ideas. And if someone will try to give an opinion, they say, no, don't do it, because I already tried and it didn't work. So you see the bad reference, instead of them overcoming that desert, because the truth is they didn't overcome the desert. They still there. They are still in that desert because they have the roots in them. For us to overcome the desert, we needed to be willing to sacrifice, like we mentioned in the beginning, our emotions, our feelings. If we are not willing to sacrifice, we will not overcome. I will not say we will come out, because the truth is we don't come out. We stay there with all these bad roots in us. So I believe the key to success in the desert is the willingness of sacrificing our will, right?
That's what will bring changes, isn't it? Go ahead.
Yeah, and just for example, the children of Israel, thinking as well, they were in the desert and they didn't see as an opportunity for them to overcome. They forgot the promise of God, because God took them out of Egypt and said, okay, I'm taking you to the promised land. So because they found themselves in that desert, they thought, okay, God has left us. We should have been there in Egypt. He should have left us alone. So they were complaining and moaning, and they died in the desert. And when we complain, when we moan, contaminating other people, because some people, they become a bad influence, they gossip, they have the traumatic events of the situation is kept inside of them. So when you're there complaining, when you're there moaning, you don't see that God is taking you to a different level. So you're going to remain there. And sometimes we wonder, why is the situation occurring over and over again? Because we need to learn.
Why I'm in this cycle?
Until you learn, exactly. Until you learn, until you overcome, you deal with the root, you deal with the problem, then you're ready to come out. But if not, you're going to keep going around in circle, and eventually you're going to remain there and die in the desert.
That's true. And another very important lesson we can take from the desert is exactly learning to place ourselves in people's shoes, to see, to understand them better, to be more merciful. But there are people, for example, they have been through a very tough life. People were not merciful towards them. They were not patient towards them. They didn't treat them in the way they should. So they had to learn the hard way, let's put it this way. So they think that the way they should teach others, it's the same. No, I've learned like that. I've always been like that. I overcame this, so it's your turn now. I'm gonna teach this how I learned, and that's how I'm gonna teach others. So people also need to learn to discern this between what is good and what is not good. Sometimes what we learn from people is how not to be, unfortunately, right? Because we know how it feels. We know what we had to go through in order for us to change. So if the person actually ends up treating others the same ways, because they did not learn. That's the problem. When we don't learn, when we don't understand what God is trying to tell us through that, what are we going to teach others, right? So if we act by emotion in the moment, the lesson we are going to get from that is carnal, is fleshly. There's nothing spiritual to pass to people. There is no life, there is no change, there is nothing there, nothing good to pass to others. Right? But when we choose to look at the situation with spiritual eyes, we fight back. We choose to fight back those thoughts that come to our mind, that tell us, why is this happening to me? Why did God allow that to me? That kind of mentality of a victim, which is awful. A mentality of a victim will never lead you anywhere, will never take you anywhere, good, positive. Will always make you stuck. So when you decide to change that, to go against your feelings, to trust in God, to use your faith, choose to use your faith. You know what? God is with me, it's written. And you choose to seek God, because those moments will try to shaken your faith, will try to make you feel weak, even spiritually weak. But you decide, no, God is my strength. I can't do this by myself, but with God I can make it. So that's when you would take all those right lessons from the desert. That's when you will learn. That's when you will have what you pass to other people. That's when you become a true reference to others.
It's so nice when you overcome a desert. And then you start another one, because that's the truth, right? Our life is made of deserts. Especially when we want to please God, we will face deserts. But we will think, no, if I overcame the one I just came out, I can overcome this one as well. Because we know who is with us. We know who is leading us. And we know with Him we can make it.
That's true.
And we learn so much. He teaches us so much, like Kim said in the beginning. In the desert is where He shows us things that He will not show in another place, like in another situation, but there, in that desert, He will show you something.
Yes, and look how nice. Those lessons to us from the desert become like a treasure.
Yes.
You know, you go there to the treasure, how do you call this?
box.
Treasure box, right? And each time in your life, or when you encounter someone who needs that, you wait a moment, I'll be right back. You go to your treasure box that you acquired in that desert, and you give to that person. Look, this is what I got from there. This is what I got. Yes, this is what I got. Look, the treasure. Look, and you're so happy to share that. Look, that's how I became stronger. That's how I became more confident. That's when I became a better wife. That's when I became a better daughter. That's when I became a better worker, employee, doesn't matter. That's when I became better in my life. That's how I overcame the situation. That's how you are going to overcome it too. And this is the purpose. That's why you should not avoid it. That's why you should not run away from it. When situations happen, don't say like, oh, I don't want this to happen to me. You know what? This is not fair. And you abandon your faith. You abandon your beliefs in God. You give up on yourself. Why? Why are you going to do that? Don't run away from it. Face it with God, and this situation will turn into a much stronger person and a true reference to everyone around you. All right, so this is our message of today to all of you, in order for you to become a good reference to everyone around you. So make the most of your deserts, and see you here next week, Monday, with another topic. Thank you so much for being with us. Bye-bye, ladies. Take care.
Bye-bye.